Oh, hey.
All right, welcome to episode one of Squared Circle Spotlight. Thank you for tuning in. If you couldn't tell, the theme of this show, pro wrestling, squared circle. We're not going to get hypercritical. We're not going to get hyper analytical on any topics here. We're going to keep it nostalgic. We're going to talk about our favorite things. We're going to talk about gimmicks. We're going to talk about figures, merch, all that good stuff. We're even going to have stipulations as pay-per-views come up. So tune in for that. But thank you all for tuning in. Check us out on Instagram as well. Squared Circle Spotlight, all one word. We're putting up memes, reels, funny stuff, clips from shows. So make sure you guys check that out as well and stay up to date on what we're putting up. So without further ado, we are your hosts. I'm your quintessential studcaster, Joe Shortino, your leader of activities here. So I will kick it over to the man to my left in the nice Colorado Avalanche jersey, even though he's a Devils fan. I'll kick it over to him.
Thank you, Joseph. I do love the Devils, but I like a sick jersey when I like a sick jersey. Uh, Joe will be the leader of this little project we have. I will be our residential wrestling expert as much as it can be for a fan. I've been a lifelong wrestling fan since as far as I can remember. It's been a passion of mine. It's been one of the continual themes throughout my life, and can't wait to get started.
And I'm Jeremy. Charlie, nice sweater.
I guess so.
I like that you said
I'm your
sweater.
fair weather fan.
Yeah,
I
sweater.
watch wrestling. I hang out with these guys and watch wrestling a lot. It was a big part of what I watched growing up in my teenage years and everything. So I pick up here and there, but I always keep up to date with a lot of the memes and tweets and the funny stuff. So I'll be keeping you interested in that stuff to come.
And to be fair, we're just three fans talking about the thing we liked. So
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
Jeremy may not be up to date on current stuff, but he did dress up as Vince McMahon at a WWE party we had once. So there's that. We do have
He
videos of
did, he
me
did.
RKOing him,
And
RKO'd
he did,
Jeremy, I
this
should
is
say.
a future spoiler, but he did think one wrestler from a certain promotion was made out of a certain element, an element. We'll
And
reveal
we will
that at a
bring
later date.
that will come up. That is a great point, and he will be one of our gimmicks we talk about.
We
If you
might even
don't
get
know
him on the
already,
show.
it's
Is that
possible. And
possible?
I don't,
I think
he's
he might be
probably not doing
downstairs.
probably not
You
doing
got,
much
you
right
got,
now. So
yeah, two 699s from Domino's. I think I got him.
I think he has another family member in that thing, in that his line of lineage.
all right, we're moving on. We're going to jump in just a little get to know you question, so you guys kind of get to know us a little bit. So we're going to keep it wrestling themed, and which wrestler would best describe each one of these hosts? So, for example, I'll let Charlie and Jeremy decide for me. Me and Charlie decide for Jeremy, so on and so forth. So, who wants to go first?
I guess I will. Um,
All
I'm
right,
probably gonna have to go a little more modern with Randy Orton.
for who?
You,
For who?
Oh,
Joe,
okay.
Joe?
Charlie, more of the HBK type.
All
Right.
right, so
But wait. Are you saying HBK 97?
to it. We'll count down so I know where to edit here.
All
So
right, edit
four,
it out.
three,
Yep.
2, 1. We're back. We had technical difficulties. Charlie was talking about why he is HBK 97, not oh 04.
No, I want to know why you think I'm
Ah,
HBK
okay.
97, not before German. Be my guest.
I I just picked the year honestly on that one.
Oh, well, okay. Let me give you just quick.
Clearly, I was wrong on how you think it should be turned around. So explain.
No. So 97 maybe was like um five
10 years
five
ago.
six. Yeah. Maybe about that.
Yeah.
When I
Okay.
was like kind of trying to be Shawn Michaels, and now like I go to church and I'm loyal and try to be a good person. So I think I'm new Shawn Michaels, not old Shawn Michaels. But I
I
respect
You kick Stan.
what?
You kick Stan.
I kicked Stan.
don't
You
remember the
don't remember?
backstage segment. Sure. Shawn Michaels kicking everybody backstage, and one of the guys who was Stan was actually Shawn Spears.
No, I have no fucking idea.
Oh wow,
Oh,
that
he's
was
just
yeah,
walking with Triple H. And then he's
yeah,
like, look, you made me kick Stan. He just
How do
gives
I
it the.
not know that?
Oh, dude,
yeah,
that's an
yeah,
iconic, stupid like
Oh my
video that
goodness.
passes around.
I
yeah.
can't believe it.
Jeremy the Fairweather fan beat you. Um,
Killing me on this. All
but
right, but
I
I
will
will.
also I will also go with Jeremy on that one. I'll say HBK for you, and I'll go. It's the same timeline, right? Like maybe it happened at a later time, but yeah, you went from 97 HBK to '04 HBK. Uh, so you followed the same path, but you didn't get stuck in one. Well, maybe you're in the '04 one now, but you followed that same path because yeah, there were some
Yeah.
97 HBK days out at what was uh what was that bar we used to go to?
Bar A or no, the one in Woodbridge?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Joe, all I know is if I was
Big
97
shots.
HBK, you were definitely part of the clique going out to some of those bars with me, my friend.
I would agree. I would say the same thing. I had a little bit of HBK in me, a little more toned down.
You
Had
did.
the Heartbreak
J
Kid portion of it, but not
yeah.
the other
Joe could wrap me
recreational
up
kid.
at the night when I was going a little bit when the show was needed to go home, Joe knew when it had to go home. So he's our Triple
We
H of
all
the group.
we also pulled off an Enzo and Cass night too, so that was a fun one.
We did.
We'll talk more about that on a later date. And then Jeremy. So I feel like this is an easy one, but there's a couple options here. I always go X-Pac. He just gets cheap heat. There's
Eh,
no real reason for
Ah,
Jeremy to get heat. Sometimes, but he gets the heat for maybe undeserving reasons sometimes.
uh, um, all right, I'm torn. X-Pac, yes, because some people, RIP Matt Snee, hated Jeremy for no apparent reason whatsoever. X-Pac heat. But I don't think of Jeremy like that. I think of Jeremy more as I'm gonna put him as a road dog. He's good on the mic. He's funny. He's always down to have a good time. And he's a good guy.
He loves weed.
You better know somebody.
And he loves weed.
We all
Right.
like to partake
Well,
here and there.
Same here.
hopefully, hopefully, that got you guys to get to know us a little bit better. I think it probably confuses some a little bit, but we'll hopefully clear that up as you get to know us more. Uh, so we're moving along. Our first segment of the day, the three count. So this time we'll each week go over three of our top favorite things. And with that, I will hand it over to Jeremy with our topic for the week.
All right. So we have a lot of stuff to go over in the whole history of wrestling. Today we came up with a topic of three iconic matches that you can remember from any timeline in wrestling history. And mine, I have four. So my third one is a toss up
Well, it's supposed
between
to be
two of
three.
them with iconic players or wrestlers in it. First one, I'm sorry, but I gotta say the TLC triple threat: Dudley's, Hardy's, Edge, and Christian. That's what made tag teams what they are now and brought it to new levels. You had stuff you'd never seen. You had high flyers. You had the 3D, the Swanton bombs, everything.
Okay. Who was your favorite player in that match?
Wrestler.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I played video games. I think player sometimes. Um, Second, Hell in a Cell, Undertaker, Mankind. Mankind getting thrown off that Hell in a Cell was something of. I'm surprised he's alive.
So is Jim
Third,
Ross.
yeah,
Yeah.
shockingly. Third is a toss up between an I Quit match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, and the Iron Man match between, or no, Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin, and then the Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
You got to pick one. Top three.
I'm gonna go
That
Stone
cut
Cold
one.
Bret.
Stone Cold Brett.
Yeah.
Choice. Good choice.
Charlie, you want to
What
go?
about you?
You want me to piggyback off of that? All right. I'm also gonna include. What did you say? Did you say it was a no DQ match?
I which one? The Shawn
The Brett,
Michaels or the
no, the
Brett?
Brett one.
I quit.
I think it was a submission only match, which is
Was
weird
it?
because Stone Cold, yeah, which is weird because Stone Cold didn't have a submission at the time, which is really weird. Um, but yeah, that is absolutely one of my favorite matches. Another favorite of mine is Cactus Jack Triple H. Um, I think it's a street fight from Royal Rumble 2000 at New York City. That was a absolutely amazing match. And I will go with the overall match of Royal Rumble 1992, which had just about every monumental star from the 90s that you can think of in that Royal Rumble.
It was a Royal Rumble match. It's one of your top. That's ballsy.
Yeah, yeah, hey.
Ballsy
Honorary
guy.
mention the midget Royal Rumble.
The midget
Little
Royal. I
people.
don't think there was
Little
a
people.
midget Royal Rumble. Little people. Yeah, let's go.
All right, I'll jump into mine. So Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25, iconic match. Maybe I'm cliche. I think probably a lot of people say that one. So I'll go with that one. That was a great one. Probably one of my favorite matches of all time up until this next one came along. So it was Kenny Omega, Okada. The first one, first time they met, crazy match, over 60 minutes. Never got boring. Not knocking Jeremy's choice of Shawn Michaels Bret Hart Iron Man match, which was a good match at the time. But yes, did have moments where you wanted to go to sleep if you watch it back now. Very slow, methodical. So yeah, Omega Okada, and then I'll keep it uh, outside of WWE too. I'll go Taz and Sabu. Hardcore Heaven 97. So they never met before in ECW. And they built that match for a long time. The two top stars in ECW. I was a big ECW guy. Um, Got like 13. My parents didn't even want me watching it, but was a big ECW fan. So I'm going Taz and Sabu. Loved both of them. RIP Sabu just
It,
died a couple weeks ago
it,
too. So
Joe, this is where you're gonna have a unique perspective because I hate it, ECW, and I know it's not a popular thing to say, but I did not like it. I didn't want to stay up till 1 or 2 a.m. to watch like Channel 10, and I thought the wrestling was garbage. I hated it.
fun fact about that too. I used to go to bed. I think I was like 12, 13 when I was watching it. So I'd go to bed at like 10 o'clock at night. I'd set an alarm to wake me up at 1 a.m. to go watch it. I think it was like NY 55 at the time.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. But on Channel
I would,
10, but on like Channel
yeah,
10.
yeah. I'd literally set an
Oh
alarm to wake
shit,
me up to
Balls
watch.
Mahoney's on.
Listen, don't disrespect Balls Mahoney. He was quite a slugger with
Uh,
those chairs.
uh, he's a Garden
All
State
right.
boy.
That's true. That's true. All right. That was the three count. Next, we'll hand it over to Charlie. We're going to talk a little bit about memorabilia. We're going to talk about some figures, all that type good stuff. So each week we'll kind of cover some different memorabilia, some stuff we have, some stuff we don't have, some stuff that was ridiculous, stuff we liked. So hand it over to Charlie to go over our next segment called the merch table.
Okay, this is the merch table. It's only our first week. If you keep on subscribing, keep on liking our videos, we're gonna get deeper and dirtier with the merch, especially Jeremy. He's a very dirty man. But right here, we're gonna start it off right now. It is an Ultimate Warrior during his Ultimate Maniacs collection when he tag teamed with Macho Man. I think it was the summer of '92, and then for no reason he was like old. Like I guess that's something to do. He failed the steroid test. If you can believe that. Um, so that's pretty awesome. And
I
this
think he
one,
only he only wore that outfit one time too, right? That one match they had. That was the only time he wore
yeah, it
that.
was with him and Macho Man. It was the Ultimate Maniacs and whatever the hell Macho Man called his fans. This one, you just can't. Bruno San Martino. It's a Jax figure, old school. You gotta love it. I don't know if Mattel's done a Bruno San Martino, but I gotta love him at the Jacks. And then here's the only thing. I have a bunch of Triple H's, but here's what I like. These are basically from around the same time. This is Triple H as Sean's secondary and DX, and then boom, look, 6 months later, get the fuck out. We got this Triple H winning the IC title at SummerSlam. Here he is, he's climbing the ladder, he's grabbing the title. He's our new IC champ. Suck it. Here we go. That's our memorable tale. We'll get more as we go along, but that's our first little glimpse at what we got.
Let me ask you a question. I know this is maybe a little bit off topic, and we'll talk more about these in a little bit, but what were your favorite figures? Like, what was your favorite lot? Like the Jacks, the
Oh, okay, Mike. All
Hasbro's.
right. So nostalgic wise, it's got to be the Hasbro's because I remember them. I think the first toy I got was 1991. I got an Ultimate Warrior from the Easter Bunny. I think that
Remember
was
the
like the
little
first.
buddies,
Yeah.
the
It
little
was
pillow guys?
it was a Hasbro guy. It was a Hasbro action figure.
No, but do you remember the
Um,
pillows that you could wrestle
yeah,
all the time?
yeah. And then the Hasbro ones because I mean I just probably like you, Joe. You probably had them all throughout your childhood. But then
Yep.
I even took it into the Jacks age, like seventh, eighth grade. I was still collecting. I was still having matches.
Can
Um,
I just tell you?
but
Can I tell you
Got wild imagination, boy.
which ones I absolutely hated? Let's
God,
see if you can guess which ones I hated the most.
is it going to be the sweat?
Well, no, that's very specific. No, I meant a whole genre. The Bendums.
Oh,
The Bendums were the worst.
Bendies.
Yeah,
Remember the
yeah,
ones that you
those were the
pulled
worst.
the back down and they jumped up?
Yeah, I remember being at that KB Toys and my mom going, "Okay, you can
I
get
used
one
to
of
work
these
there.
or four Bendums." It's like, why are the Bendums so cheap? Because they suck. They
You couldn't
suck.
do you couldn't do anything with them. They stuck
They
like
just
this the
walked
whole
around like
time.
this.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
could
yeah.
wiggle their arms a little bit and their legs.
Yeah, I thought it was hot shit. I got an Ahmed Johnson, a Farouk, and an Owen Hart bendy.
Oh
And
man.
I
The
come home and
Pro
yeah,
River Plunge.
barely. That's basically for Ahmed. It was good. That was his like skill set was in the bendy
Power
action
move.
figure. But for the rest of
I,
them, nah.
I still have a couple of them. I have an Undertaker and a Mankind. Maybe I'll bring them down up in my attic. I got Undertaker and Mankind Bendhams, and I actually bought those as an adult. I think when we went to Charlie, when we you and I went to like that wrestling convention with like I forget how many years ago, maybe like 8 years ago now, uh,
I remember.
where you met Simon Gotch, your icon. Bought a couple Bendhams there, so I have those two up in my attic yet.
He was kind of a dick. I was like no one was in autograph line, so I was like, "Hey Joe, should I get this picture?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know." So I was like, "All right, I'll get it." And I was like, "Hey, Simon Gotch, big fan." He's like, "Really? I like air conditioners." He's like, eh. Like yeah, like just take the compliment and give me an autograph. Don't try to make a joke or be clever. Like you're not that big of a star. It
And
bothered me. I don't know.
I still have the picture of you and Simon Gotch, so I will put that up on our Instagram. So again, check that out, Squared Circle Spotlight on Instagram. I have the picture of Charlie and Simon Gotch, so I will put that up there.
I will say though, Jim Cornette was there and he was super nice. He took time, talked to me and Joe. I don't know if Joe did, but I asked him for a picture and he felt
Mhm.
awkward even charging us anything. He was so cool.
Yeah, surprisingly, you think,
I
obviously with
like
his
people
show and
that
his
are humble like that, though. It makes them more engaging.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was so yeah, that was a good time. That was our merch table, and we'll get more in depth with some of the wackier merch that we'll come up with as we go along to the show. So moving along, another fun segment we have set up here for you, the gimmick of the week. So each week we'll cover another ridiculous wrestling gimmick from our childhood, from our past, maybe even some modern stuff. If there's anything ridiculous that kind of out there now. But we'll start off with one that kind of always comes up when we talk gimmicks. Somehow, we started a chant on a train with this guy's name. It's none other than the Repo Man.
R
So
r r
very cheesy kind of golden age, new era transition phase in WWE.
Very something. something.
Yeah, a lot of guys with second jobs in the WWE at that time. You had Garbage Man, you
Yeah,
had Man Mountain Rock playing guitar, you had the Repo Man repossessing everything. But um,
collateral.
so we'll talk a little bit about the Repo Man today. So, also known by his government name, Barry Darso, he was Smash in Demolition, and later transitioned to the Repo Man. So, I would have loved to have heard that
What a fall
conversation
from
between
grace.
Vince
Wait, all right, hang
McMahon.
on. Honest question, Joe. As a kid, did you know that? Because I didn't.
I did not. This was in my research. I learned this.
Yeah, they could have
So,
pulled us. They could have pulled anything on us.
but I did look back at like photos, and you could tell it was him. But obviously looking much much cooler as Demolition. So just imagine you're in WWE and it's the '80s. You're dressed up as like this badass Mad Max, this kind of looking guy. Um, and then that kind of ends, and your next thing is you're repossessing nightsticks from the Big Boss Man. So uh, kind of a weird transition. He had a few mid card feuds, probably most notably with the Big Boss Man, where he did repossess his nightstick because those nightsticks in the Cobb County correction facilities are very
They're
expensive.
valuable.
Boss
A
Man
lot
was
of
behind on
taxpayer
payments,
dollars right there, bro.
and Repo Man needed to get that back, so he had a feud with Big Boss Man. Feud with Randy Macho Man Savage, where he stole Macho Man's hat, brutally attacking him from behind while Macho Man was on commentary, not even wrestling at the time, mind you. He attacked him
But
while he was on commentary.
he's not a thief, right? He's a repo man. So what would Macho Man have to owe him for him to take his hat? Like, what did
He
he
was
give him?
he was making
Give him a
payments on
time
that
of
hat.
day.
Like, what is? He was so hard up. He needed to like, here, take this. I'll loan you my hat.
Was this pre or
So
post Slim Jim endorsement?
I think
Maybe he's
this
mad
is
about
pre.
that.
He didn't have that Slim Jim money yet, so he was probably paying off that hat still. So he repossessed that from Macho Man. And that's the things you don't realize when you're watching as a kid is like, why the hell would he repossess a hat? That's a very good point. Like nobody dug into that. Why is he repossessing a hat?
Hey, hey.
Uh,
Who sold that gimmick and was like, yeah, let's do it.
there's three
Yeah,
initials of who sold that gimmick, and it's VKM.
BKM.
Oh
God
no.
damn it.
That's not even
You're
the
gonna,
worst mistake.
you're not gonna just take it. You're gonna repossess it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're fired.
Well, I
Uh,
so I did
uh,
I did do research on the Repo Man, which as a 40-year-old man, nobody should really do. But um, I did learn the reason they created this character because apparently it was a hot topic in the news at the time. Repossessions were up across America. So this is where they honest to God, this is where they came from the idea. So repossessions were a hot topic in the news, and that's where he came up with this character. And they added tires and skid marks to his outfit. So don't know how that makes sense either.
that's but that's what I love about Vince, right? You can knock him all you want with the sexual scandal and whatever. Yeah, okay. But he's always been tuned in and plugged into like the cultural zeitgeist, right? So,
Like
hey,
Matt
we're
Stone
hip
and Trey
now.
Parker.
What do we do with Tony Atlas? Hey, let's make him a crazy African guy named Saba Simba and put him in a Lion King costume and send him out there. Let's do that. Hey, cool. Why not? 'Cause I'm not a crazy, fucked up 70-year-old billionaire. Or he's probably 60 at that point. But whatever. The guy he was nuts. He was nuts.
Absolutely. And
Oh,
and like I said, there's plenty of other gimmicks we're gonna get into from specifically that. We could probably just do a whole show on just that era of gimmicks. Because
absolutely.
there are so many that I don't know what the hell is going on in Vince's mind when they came up with these, because he came up with 99% of them,
Absolutely.
right? Like nobody else
Absolutely.
was
Nothing got
um
past him without his stamp of approval.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He came up with it. He stamped approval on his own idea. Um And then lastly, his last big feud was with Kona Crush, another Demolition former member. So another
That's
guy that
crazy.
went from Demolition to Kona Crush. Kona Crush was a little bit cooler though, I think. I liked Crush
A
as a
little bit.
kid. He had the Cranium Crush as a finisher, which was cool. I don't know if it actually works, but uh, that was cool. And Repo Man didn't repossess anything from Crush. He repossessed Crush himself, by strangling him with a tow rope and dragging him to the corner. That was his attack on Crush. So I didn't really repossess anything from
Oh,
Crush, just
oh,
kind of attacked him.
I thought you were going. I thought you were going dark.
No,
I say
no,
you
no, no, no,
just repossessed Brian Adams.
no, no, no,
Sorry,
no, no.
sorry,
Just
sorry.
strangled him with a rope, and that's how we repossessed Crush. And then Repo Man's final appearance in WWE was in the WrestleMania 17 gimmick battle royal. Didn't do too well there. Got eliminated by Sergeant Slaughter. Um, and
See,
that was the end of
repossessing
the.
that stick came back to haunt him.
That
Well,
was
he didn't
anyone
repossess
who
anything
knew.
from Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
anyone who knows who won that gimmick battle royal
I
off the
do.
top
I
of their
can get
head.
into it and give you the reason if you want.
I know it too. Iron Sheik, right?
Iron Sheik won, and it was because he couldn't take a bump, so he couldn't be thrown over the rope.
Really?
Oh, you didn't know
Was
that? Yeah, yeah.
Backlund in there?
I don't know. I don't think so. But Iron Sheik could not lose that battle royal because he wasn't able to take a bump at the time. So he had to win it. There was no other option just for his life. He couldn't take a bump. So that's why he got the win. Yeah, yeah.
I only reason I mentioned Backlund is because me and Joe met him at like the WWE live event they were doing, and
Mhm.
he has to be like in the 70s, and his grip strength was insanely strong. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I got the picture right there. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
he and maybe next time I'll pull the picture up, but he put us both in a headlock and it was ungodly strong for a man of his age. I think what we were in
seriously.
our 20s, right? We were still in our
Yeah,
20s and
and
this guy,
Jack.
yeah, and working out every day. And this guy easily outpowered me. He was in his 70s.
Yeah, like if he wanted to fuck us up right there, he absolutely could have.
If I wanted to hook
Yep,
you,
you
I'd
ain't
hook you.
leaving. I got you. Nope,
Yeah,
no, don't even try.
like Stu Hart type shit.
All right, and that was our gimmick of the week. Stay tuned next week for some more. Maybe we'll bring in a guy that was made of an actual element. Uh, maybe, or we'll talk about that one down the road when Jeremy's ready for that one.
I'll never be
All
ready
right, we're
for
gonna
that
jump
one.
moving along to our next segment from the archive, where we'll take a deep dive on a topic each week. Um, Kind of just discuss it, our history with it, what we liked, what we didn't like, some hot topics that we had. And with that, I will hand it over to Charlie.
All right, okay, deep dive. It's gonna be kind of a different type of blend on a deep dive. Conrad, my man, he goes hard, but he's got a lot more resources than we do. So we're gonna do it from just a fan's perspective, not so much with wrestlers helping us,
What?
just mainly through our eyes. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the IC title. The IC title to me as a kid was the title I wanted. I didn't necessarily want the Hulk Hogan gold strap. I didn't care about Hulk Hogan so much. The IC title to me was the title that they gave to the best wrestler. They gave to the best worker. They gave to the guy that I wanted to be. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, the Mountie to a lesser extent, Mr. Perfect, um, things of that. And then you want to look and you want to see that IC title was perfectly interjected in that company to put a guy and spring up board him to the WWFE title. And I think that's how a mid card belt or secondary title is supposed to be used. Because almost everyone that I named, well, not almost everyone, but a lot of guys that I named wound up having good IC runs and then took that to the WWE title. I mean, Brett right there, Sean right there. And then I want to look at some IC classics, some of my favorite IC title matches, which stole the show. You look at 1991, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam. Match of the night by far. 1992 SummerSlam, Bulldog and Bret pull it off. 82,000 people in Wembley Stadium or whatever the fake number they want to give you. Um, but main event of the show. And then WrestleMania 10, the ladder match redefined the industry. And then even some classic gems is there's In Your House 2, I think. It's Jeff Jarrett for Shawn Michaels. And if you haven't seen that in a while, throw it on. It's a great match. It shows what the belt's all about. It shows that it's the workers' title, and they want to view that guy in the eyes to see him as a future champion. And I think we kind of gotten away from that. Maybe somewhat now with who it's on now, it's gotten better because I could see the current IC champ becoming actually no, the US champ becoming a world title trade. But the IC title when it was the most important and the best to me was 1992, probably about to 1990 to 1994. That's all I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say was the most important years, the best years for the belt, and I dare anybody to compare a different time. That's what I got.
I'll compare right now. We are currently living in the era of the greatest IC champion of all time. How dare you forget who our current IC champion is? Dirty Dominic Mysterio, IC champion, greatest Mysterio of all time, future world champion, Dirty Dom.
Maybe they got it back right then, Joe. Maybe they got it back right, but it was wasted on a lot of times. Let me rattle
Yeah.
off some names that held the IC title. Val Venus, okay?
Okay.
Um, I
Me
think
choppy choppy.
yeah, your Canadian didn't hold it. He held the European, but D'Lo Brown held it. Uh, Test held it. Albert held it. I mean, just about
Did
everyone and
William
their
Regal
mom
hold
got
it?
a shot. Yeah, Regal held it,
I'm sure he
but
did.
Regal actually did a decent job with it. But what I'm saying is more toward the Attitude Era. It was more like a hardcore title. It was pretty much passed around like you know
Well,
Terry
yeah,
Reynolds, but it
I think
it
you're
was
right. I think even now, like it's still kind of just passed around. I think it's gotten better. You have like, like I said, Dirty Dom. I was joking a little bit there, exaggerating a little bit, but I do love Dirty Dom. You had Dirty Dom, you had Braun Breaker had the title. And then yeah, I mean you're absolutely right. Like growing up as a kid, I didn't care about Hogan. I didn't care about, those top guys with Ric Flair even. I mean, Ric Flair was great, but I didn't like him
I
as a
agree.
kid. I liked the mid card guys. Bret Hart as Intercontinental. Mr. Perfect was awesome. Roddy Piper was always great. Roddy Piper was kind of a main eventer too, even if he didn't get
yeah,
the world title.
Absolutely.
But like all those mid card guys were always best. And you always, even today, like the best matches are for those titles, or your Intercontinental title, your
right.
U.S. title. Like you said, my man Jacob Fatu, hoodie on. Um, U.S. title right now, not Intercontinental, but kind of that same level. And again, probably going to be future world champion and putting on the best matches. You had Backlash a couple weeks ago. That was one of the best matches of the night for the U.S. title. Um, and then even Ray and Penta had their match there for the Intercontinental title. So you had a lot of, you know, I think all your best matches are kind of, and those are like exactly like you said, that's the workhorse. Like you're not seeing back in the day, you didn't see Hogan every week. You saw him for the big events and you saw him on
Right,
Superstars once in a while, but you saw your Intercontinental champions all the time. And those are the guys that
right.
you really resonated with.
And also I know, Jeremy, I don't know how much you wanted to be a wrestler because I know you like want to be a soccer player and stuff. But uh, for me and Joe, I know it saw guys more like built like us. Like, hey, maybe we could do this. I know, even though now you think like Bret Hart as small is kind of funny because you have guys that are 5'6" on the roster and stuff. But at least to us, it was like, hey, these guys kind of look like something we could do. Yeah, we're gonna have to work out a fuckload and do a lot of steroids, but we could probably look like that.
That's going to be our life right there. It's in the gym and working out so we could be as big as we need to.
Yeah, say
Not
hello
even,
to my 20s.
I wouldn't even lie. Yeah. In my 20s, in my 30s, and maybe even a little bit now still. That was my motivation. I was watching wrestling more hardcore into wrestling then, maybe a little more than now, but that I still wanted to be big like a wrestler, and that's what I always did.
Yeah,
That was not football. I mean, football players maybe a little bit, but like
Yeah,
your
well,
other
they were like
athletes,
superheroes back then. It's like you want to be big because look at how strong they are and everything. It was
yep,
always like
yeah,
dramatized to see so much more because they're wrestlers.
yeah, and especially like you said, those guys with the IC title. Not only were they in amazing shape, but they were amazing in the ring. Like they could do
they were.
everything. Um, Even like Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels wasn't the biggest, and he was Intercontinental Champion and
All right.
put on some of the best matches of all time. The first quotation ladder match in WWE. Um, him and Razor Ramon, which was a classic at the time, which I'm surprised nobody picked as their favorite match. That one was a classic. I think that was SummerSlam. Um, so you had, those guys
Well,
like
no,
that
him and
too.
Ramon had there was WrestleMania 10, and then they had a rematch at SummerSlam,
Okay, there you
ladder
go.
match. But you know what? Here's what I was gonna say about that one. That's the perfect setup for a ladder match. I think they use ladder matches way too often. The setup, I don't know if you remember for WrestleMania 10 was Michaels had the belt, but he had
Hmm.
an injury. I think he got beat up. Remember, he got beat up in Syracuse, and like he couldn't defend the title, so they made it. So he came back as I never lost my belt. So it was interim champ versus real champ, and they had to climb the ladder. See, I think that's the perfect storytelling for a ladder match. I think they use a ladder match too flippantly nowadays, but it just goes back harping to what I was saying.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
then,
good.
no, good, good.
You know who was if I'm not mistaken, of course he should have been an intercontinental. I'm almost positive. I don't know the lineage like that, but it was on the bigger side, but was very athletic. RVD.
He was IC champ.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he
But
was.
he was on the bigger side, but he was one of the most flexible and like acrobatic guys I've ever seen that size doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie
Like
will
I
have
said,
an opinion on.
I'm sorry, Joe. I wasn't an ECW fan, like Joe was, but when the invasion angle happened, I immediately fell in love with RVD. It was his charisma was undeniable. The moves he was doing, and especially at that time, UFC was just starting to get really popular, and he was working in like real life shoot moves, and so I'm sure Joe can elaborate more on that in another episode, but yeah, RVD definitely.
Yeah, and that surprises me too. We're going off on a tangent here, but you weren't a fan of ECW. You would have loved RVD in ECW. That would have been all you, Mr. Monday
Rhino
Night, Mr.
too.
PPV. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know how you wouldn't have liked them, but I got an IC question I'll throw out here. Charlie probably knows the answer to this. Curious to see if Jeremy knows. Who was the first Intercontinental Champion? Let's see if Jeremy has a guess for a billion points.
When was it introduced?
70
Nope,
in the
definitely don't know.
70s. Yeah, I don't remember exact year. Charlie?
Definitely don't know.
I think it was 79. I think it was an imaginary tournament in Rio de Janeiro,
There you
Brazil,
go.
by the one Pat Patterson.
You got it. Pat Patterson, first
Yeah.
IC champion. Um, and then the first IC champion I remember was this is how old I am, was the Honky Tonk Man. And and I will just say, as we kind of talk about how great the IC title was, as a kid, I thought it was terrible. I thought a Honky Tonk Man was terrible. I didn't understand why he had some type of title. And he had it for, I forget, what was it, like 400 something days at the time.
Long
Um,
time, long time.
yeah, yeah. That I'm glad they transitioned away. No, no, Honky Tonk Man, if you're listening out there somewhere, no disrespect. Uh, but yeah, yeah, I'm glad they transitioned more towards those guys that they did.
I will say this. I don't remember like live Honky Tonk Man as the IC champ. My first IC title match, I remember it was a VHS. It was WrestleMania 6. It was supposed to be title for title, Warrior versus Hogan, but I don't think they wound up actually making a title for title. Vince changed his mind. But that was the first time I remember like the IC title being defended. Because I was a huge Warrior guy when I was a kid.
That
Can
you
I
just
just
reminded me of
say,
another. Yeah, Jeremy.
What's
Honky
up?
Tonk Man, if you think about it, it would be like Elvis and Andrew Dice Clay having a love child.
It's true.
I mean, I could see it. Um, but you reminded me of one more match there too. You talked about Ultimate Warrior. I don't know if you remember this one, Ultimate Warrior, Rick Rude in the steel cage match. That was another good one. I remember as a kid. Again, I'm a couple years older than you guys, but I remember that one. Yeah, I was a big Warrior guy. I'm a big Rick Rude fan as an adult. I didn't appreciate him enough as a kid, but that was a great one too in the steel cage match. And Rick Rude sold the hell out of that match for Warrior.
Yeah.
He had his shortcomings,
That
but
was
Rick Rude really sold.
that was a SummerSlam match, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I actually have the Rick Rude uh figure with that. Yes, because he did that cool thing where he airbrushed his tights and he
yeah.
had like the title on it and the Undertaker's face on it or something. And yeah, Rick, same here. As a kid, I did not appreciate Rick Rude. As an adult, I can totally go back. A, he had what, 6% body fat,
Yeah.
was a legit
The
badass,
ravishing Rick Rude.
and it just like all you fat sweat hogs come over. I mean, he was awesome. Rick Rude is definitely underrated.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring him up in gimmick of the week. Not as a ridiculous gimmick, just as a gimmick, but the stuff he did with Jake the Snake's wife was phenomenal
Yeah,
as well. Looking back as
yeah,
an adult, as a kid, it was super heel to me. But now that was
yeah.
awesome. All right. That wraps up our archive. Thank you, Charlie, for that. Always fun to talk about the IC title. Lastly, we will jump into some emails. So if you guys have questions for us, reach out to us, squaredcirclequestions@gmail.com. You can send us questions, any suggestions for any of our topics you want to hear us cover in our three counts, our deep dives, any of that stuff, send it over to us. We'll try and work that in. We want to include anybody listening too and do what you guys want to hear too. So we do have a couple emails. We had some friends we kind of spoke on this with already that have reached out to us. So we have a couple for this week. Let's pull up. All right. Well, so we'll jump into one that kind of goes back to the merch table. And we talked about this a little bit, but what were some of your favorite wrestling figures growing up? And then there's a second part, maybe not exactly related to wrestling, but what were some of your other favorite non-wrestling figures growing up?
Mm.
I know
All right, I'll
Jeremy's
take the.
answer.
Oh, yes, you do.
I know Jeremy's answer too. I'll take the wrestling figures growing up. Okay. I'll go to the Hasbro's. My go-to, I had the Hitman with the shades on. He was a go-to. I think he had like the power stomp thing.
Purple and black.
Uh, yeah,
Pink.
yeah.
Or pink.
Um, who else? I had the rockers where you push down on Sean, and he would jump off. Um, I had a Doink the Clown. Jeremy broke his hand, and we were so little. He must have been like 6. Like he felt bad. I was like, no, it's cool. It's a bazooka now. He could shoot it off with his hand. And he's like, thanks, buddy. That's just a funny story I remember. But those are some. And then when I hated the Bendhams, and then when the Action Crunch came out, it was cool. And then the Jax guys, I collected all of Titantron, where you could hook them up and they would play the music. That was dope.
What about non-wrestling?
I had some Ghostbusters and some He-Man toys,
I don't remember those.
Good
and a
choices.
few Ninja Turtles. Not to the level of some of our other co-hosts, but I
That
dabbled in Raphael merchandise and X-Men. I like Cyclops and Gambit.
was for quality.
Those were my action figures.
Jeremy, how about you, Jeremy?
I would say the wrestlers during like the mid 2000s, early mid 2000s. So you had the Hardys that were cool. You had John Cena, which I was a huge John Cena fan back in the day and still am to this day. Um, I just remember like all the other accessories that came around with them that were so much more intricate and looked real life, more or less, compared to the older like '90s toys and whatnot. So I enjoyed those a little more. And my favorite toy are toys that I collected, still collect to this day every once in a while. Ninja Turtles, diehard Ninja Turtle fan, Michelangelo all the way, Cowabunga dudes. But yeah, no, I love my Ninja Turtles. I have like memorabilia merchandise all over. It's in
Tattoos.
storage now, but when I get my man cave back, I'm gonna start displaying all that stuff again. It's less embarrassing than my Dallas Cowboys lately. So yeah.
Talk about the Cowboys another day. We got football coming
Yeah.
up in
Do
a
we
few
have
months.
to?
Listen, as a
Joseph.
Giants fan, I mean, no.
It'll be a
Anyway,
penny
yeah,
party.
Mine again, yeah, similar to Charlie. My favorite were all the Hasbros, so I had a lot of those as a kid. And specifically, I remember the Jake the Snake with the punching arm that came with the
Fuck
snake,
yeah.
which was awesome. That
Fuck
was
yeah.
probably one of
Fuck
my
yeah.
favorites. Um, big Jake the Snake fan as a kid too, just because I don't, other than no other reason other than he came to the ring with a snake, which was cool. So
Yeah.
the Jake the Snake. I had the similar to your Doink story. I had the Ultimate Warrior that did the gorilla press. And I somehow broke off all his fingers because the fingers were real thin. So like playing with them, the
Wait,
fingers
wait,
always broke.
white trunks? Do they have white trunks?
I think he had the white trunks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Not the one
I
that
know
jumped.
exactly. We figure.
I had I had
No,
two
no, the one that
warriors. I
had
had
the head press. The head press.
yes, that one. And then there
Yep,
was the
I
one
know
that
exactly
jumped.
what
I
you're
had
talking
that one
about.
too.
I didn't have that
So
one.
oh yeah, yeah, I had that one too. So
You can
those
feel it
those were
too.
those are my probably my favorite series of them. And then like yeah, I got into like the Bone Crunchers and again, I already spoke on my dislike of the Bendums, even though I have some. Um And then favorite non-wrestling, again, pretty similar to both of you guys do. Had a ton of Ninja Turtles as a kid. I still got a bunch. Gave to my son recently that I had up in my attic. I know Jeremy wants some I have, so we'll see. I can pull some more out of storage and give them to you. So a bunch of those X-Men too. I'm a huge X-Men guy. You don't see it, but I got Wolverine tattooed on me. So I had a ton of X-Men figures. Wolverine guy, also a Gambit guy. It was probably my second favorite. And then Ninja Turtles, straight Raphael guy too. You know, rude but crude. Yeah.
I
So
ha- I had the one Wolverine where he had just his shorts on and still all the like adamantium experiments going on with him, where he was basically shirtless and all that stuff and had the claws.
yeah,
I
the
remember that
Weapon
being
X,
my first Wolverine. Yeah.
Weapon X, and he came with the headpiece too. Yeah, yeah, I had
Yep.
that.
Did you like Wolverine, Jeremy?
Yes, I did.
Who was your Who was your favorite X-Men?
Wolverine was growing up.
Was he?
Yep. I wasn't a huge X-Men fan, but Wolverine and Gambit were like my top two. I mean, we didn't have too much after that. Beast was corny. I wasn't Professor
Yeah,
X.
Beast
I
was
didn't
corny.
like Xavier. I didn't like Cyclops that much. Then you had Jean Grey, you had Jubilee,
All
you
right.
had Rogue,
Yeah.
and then that was
Yeah.
really it. What, Nightcrawler? He wasn't that cool then.
Yeah. And then you like
I would.
Deadpool when that
Deadpool wasn't
or
even like relevant yet.
Yeah,
no, no,
Deadpool didn't come
later
until the
on.
nine.
Later.
Oh yeah,
No, no, I'm
Deadpool.
saying that. I'm saying later on. I'm saying
Yeah,
later on. It's funny. Our personalities. It's just like Joe, it, Wolverine first, Gambit second, me, maybe a little Gambit first, Wolverine second.
I know where this
And
is
you got
going.
it's Jeremy, you got no, you have them too, and a little
yeah.
Michelangelo. That's all.
We'll put
Oh,
together a
I
nice
thought
little
you were going
event.
to say Michelangelo first. I was like, yeah, I can't argue there.
We'll put together a nice little Venn diagram with all that. It's a
Yeah.
perfect blend.
What personality traits do I get from where?
Check that out on our Instagram as well. All right, one more email. So this one related to gimmicks. So this is a good one. Which old or underutilized gimmicks would you want to bring back or do you think would work today? That's a tough one.
I know who I would want to bring back, but that's because he passed away. It would definitely be Bray Wyatt.
That's fair.
That's
I
good.
think that gimmick, he was
Yeah.
just
That's
what
something
he
that
could
got
do.
Jeremy, that was something that got me and you back into wrestling.
Yeah, I love Bray Wyatt and the Fireflies and all that stuff when that started. And all,
Because
I was
you were
like, this
staying
is
at my
cool.
house.
Yeah,
You were staying at my house and we were like, this dude's something else.
like
And
just how
then
he was able to sell that. It was like the next
right,
Undertaker type style.
I started to get back into it, and then Joe got me into NXT again. I mean NXT, and showed me how that was popping off, and that's when I really fell in love with it again. Yeah, so Jeremy, great call with the Bray Wyatt.
I think I'll go way old just to spice it up a little bit. I think with all the bloodline stuff that's gone on over the years and basically WWE becoming all Samoan wrestling, I bring back Islanders would have been a great gimmick to bring back during the bloodline era, like the head shrinkers, Islanders, pretty much the same thing, but those would have been good to see again. Um, I would love to see Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, revive Isaac Yankem. I would love
Yeah,
to just see that on TV again because that was
the
absolutely ridiculous. Jerry the King Lawler's
Bushwhackers.
Jerry the King Lawler's personal dentist that he hired to take out Bret Hart. Makes no sense.
His name was
I would love to see
Isaac
that on TV.
Yankum. Yeah, let me hire my
BDS.
dentist to beat up this wrestler. All right, I got one. I got one, and I think it would work today. The second city saint or the second city savior doing straight edge society. That was a tremendous angle, a tremendous gimmick. It could work anytime. They could do it again right now. They don't need to use CM Punk. They can use somebody new. But that was a great gimmick. They took Festus. Remember, he was with Jesse and Festus, and he was all this like hick, like didn't know anything, and then it was no, he was being drugged, and CM Punk got him clean, and that was an awesome, awesome storyline gimmick that they could use again today.
Would you, let me ask you a question on that. So that gimmick was basically a heel gimmick. Would you bring it as a heel or a face now, though?
Oh,
Definitely get a face in today's generation.
yeah. I guess yeah. You're publicly traded. You got to do it as a face. Oh, that's a good one, Joe. 'Cause That puts
It's
some
hard to
that
sell.
puts
It's hard to
some
sell that as
yeah
a face
that
gimmick.
yeah that is that puts some wrenches in there. Yeah. That okay. That's
Have
good.
have somebody be his spokesperson. Like, I have shown him the future. I've shown him where to go.
Jeremy, you love Reverend Slick Rick. What are you talking about?
Another gimmick for the list. I think it was just Slick. It wasn't Slick Rick, just Slick.
Oh, was it? I thought. Oh, Reverend Slick. Oh yeah, yeah.
Slick
He
Rick
went
was
from
the
a
rapper.
pimp. He went from a pimp to doing like one of the most
Godfather.
racist angles ever when they like Akeem came from the darkest, deepest jungles of Harlem, which was horribly racist and offensive. And then he just turned him into a preacher. It's like what trope do we have? Vince, I think Vince has a racist streak. I don't know. I mean, look at your prominent black superstars of the time. Virgil, he was a slave, basically. Junkyard Dog had a dog collar on him. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Maybe that's
Anything and everything back then.
our three count for next week. Top Vince McMahon racist moments of wrestling.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
I want, what up, Mike?
Yep, that's the first one I went to.
All right. At that point, I think it's time to wrap.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you guys for joining us. This was episode 1. Again, if you liked it, please like, subscribe, reach out to us an email, squaredcirclequestions@gmail.com, and on our Instagram, Squared Circle Spotlight. Um, yeah, check us out. We're going to try and do this weekly, try and get in person once in a while. And then we have a fun segment, should be coming up for Money in the Bank, which is coming up. We will make our picks for Money in the Bank with a stipulation, essentially a punishment for the person who picks most incorrect, Jeremy. Will be
Jeremy.
face that
Damn it.
stipulation. So tune in for that. That'll be coming up soon.
Like
I
and
hope you guys
subscribe. Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe. Always like and subscribe. All right. Thank you guys. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.